Okay, we're up to Kuf Beis Amid Aleph. It's good Erev Shabbos, the Shabbos of my dear grandsons, my mitzvah, Yosef Ariel, my daughter, Yocheved, and her husband, Dovi, Shaya, in the schus of our Torah, and the schus of wonderful parents and his grandparents to be zeicha, they should be zeicha to be Yoela, the Torah, the Chupel Maisim Tovim, to bring Nachas Ruach to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amen. I didn't mute anybody. I didn't mute anybody. You could say Amen. Now, now we're learning Le'il Nishmas, two people. One, Ruvain ben Yosef, also known as Rudy. Rudy
Yehoshua, Ruvain ben Yehoshua.
Yeshua, whose son looks exactly like him, based upon that picture, exactly like him. He was a Holocaust survivor. Anyone's a Holocaust survivor, and he's Simchas Achayim. There's nothing else to speak about, right? There's nothing else to say. They're the greatest people that ever walked the face of the earth. We're also learning Little Nishmas, David ben Eliezer, who is my father-in-law. Today is his yard side. My father-in-law, David ben Eliezer. His neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen.
Go ahead and mute everybody, since no one said amen anyway to that either. So, I could have muted earlier. Anyway, again, I did not prepare well, so bear with me. It doesn't seem to be a difficult Gemara. Let's take it away. Kuf Beis Amid Aleph, discussing a ger, that a ger chalitza can be, a ger can judge Dini Nefashis, but he can't judge a Yisrael. And we're up to Amarav Kahana, Amarav. If Eliyahu would come, the Yoimer, and he would say, Cholzin b'mino. If he would come and say, tell us, again, we said yesterday, chalitza should be done with a sandal, If he would come and say that you can go ahead and do it with a min'o, mashma that you lichatchila not do it with a min'o. Guys, listen to the diak. You'd need Eliyahu to come tell you you could use a min'o, mashma lichatchila, you should not, only b'di'evet, right? Shaiminli, then we'd listen. Ein cholzim b'sandal, but if he would come and tell us do not do chalitza with a sandal, ain't shaimin, we wouldn't listen. Why? Because the minig has been established. This is the vehicle of chalitza, is the sandal, the more classic shoe, rather than the softer minol that we described. So according to the first lashon of Rabba in Rav, only b'di eved could you use a minol. Now there's a second opinion in what Rav said. Rav Yosef Amar Rav Kana Amar Rav Yosef in the name of Kana in the name of Rav. You cannot use a minol, then shaymin loy. Mashma, until Eliyahu comes, you could use a minol. The inference is that what? Lechatchila, you could use a minol. So we have conflicting reports as to what Rav held. According to the first lashon, according to as reported by Rabba, minol would be b'di eved or not lechatchila. According to Rav Yosef, Rav Kahana, and Rav, it would be afil lechatchila. Right? You see the diak. If he would come and tell us that you can't use it, mashma, until he tells us you could use it. Right? And however, he would say ein cholzin b'sandal, the same thing as above. Ein shaymin lo shekvar no goyim b'sandal. My binayu, what's the nafkamina? Now you know the nafkamina. I told it to you. It could be nayu min lechatchila. Well, you could do it lechatchila, like the first lashon according to Rabbah, only b'di eved. Like the second lashon of Rav Kahana and Rav Yosef, would be afil lechatchila. Fred Gemara. Ulamandi am afil lechatchila v'tanan cholza b'minol chalitzasa k'sheira the eved in lechatchila lo. Like Rav Kahana and Rav Yosef, that the minol could be used lechatchila according to Rav. Look back at our Mishnah. It's not mashman away from our Mishnah, guys. Our Mishnah says, look back at Kuf Aleph and Aleph. Mitzvahs chalitza b'shleisha dayanim v'afilu shleisha dayatis cholza b'minol. If you did chalitza with a minol, chilasa k'sheira. The chalitza is kosher. What does that mean? If you did it, b'di eved. So how could Rav Yosef, Rav Kahana, how could Rav the Amoira possibly argue in the Mishnah? The Mishnah clearly is stating what? It's only a din b'di eved, not lechatchila. And for the afil lechatchila says more in. Vatnan cholz minol chalitza k'sheira the evidin lechatchila lo, and for the Gemara hu adin afil lechatchila. Really, minol you could use lechatchila. So why you use the lashon of b'di eved? The ID did boy lemnisnei seifa. Since right afterwards in the seifa of the Mishnah you're going to say on pilya, a sack, chalitzasle psula, ba'afilu di eved, it's possible, tanami reisha di eved. Good. So therefore, that the question is not a question of Rav. For the symmetry of the Mishnah, since the latter case is afilu b'di'eved, no, the lashon was used b'di'eved by minol, even though lichatchila it was permitted. However, the Gemara now changes gears and says minol lichatchila tanoihi. Whether you could use a minol lichatchila, in fact, is the machlokes tanoim. The Tanya, Rabbi Yosi says Rabbi Yosi, Hamachas halachti l'nitzivim. One time I went to Nitzivim. Does anyone remember what Nitzivim is? I'll give you. I think I'm going to say Benji's going to remember for sure. What's the reason that there was a guy in Masechet Pesachim who went up? He dressed like a Jew, and he would go for the Korban Pesach, and he would eat the Korban Pesach, right? And he'd come back and he'd boast. So he came to the town of Nitzivim, and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said to him, "Did they give you the aliyah? Did they give you the fatty tail?" He goes, "No, they never did." So he goes, "And you think they're giving you the best part?" So he went up the next year and he asked for the fatty tail. And all the Jews realized, who told you? Because the fatty tail is burnt. So who told you that, right? So he said, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. So he goes, you see, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira sat in the tzivim, right? And his hashpah was felt over here. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi, Pamachas halachti l'netzivim, but tzasi zakin echad, amarti loi, klumat the baki, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, are any one of you bekiyim in what? In the minhagim of Yehuda ben Beseira, it's geschmack. Because I saw in the tzivim, I thought of the Gemara, and then immediately the Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, like that's, he's associated with the tzivim. Amaloi, lihain, yeah, I know this minhagim. V'al shulchani hu tadir klum, I went ahead and I ate by him all the time. So it's klum re'isa shechalitz b'Yevamot. Did you ever witness him perform a chalitza? Samalei re'isi shechalitz harbe pamim b'minol b'harbe pamim kama b'minol of the sandal. I asked him with the middle of sandal. Amali v'chichaltzim b'minol. Can you use a minol? So obviously that what the minol is. Rabbi Yehuda Meseira held the what you could not use a minol. Amarti lo Kain ma roya Reb Meir loymar chotzim b'minol chalitzas kashera. Why did Reb Meir see to say that what if you do it it's kasha? Rabbi Yaakov by Mishmoy. Rabbi Yaakov said in the name of Reb Meir chotzim b'minol lechatchila. Good. So now you have machlokes tanoim. Rabbi Yehuda Meseira says no, and Reb Meir says yes. Now later when it says lechatchila, Reb Meir has pshat na Mishnah. Umandam lechatchila loy my taima. What's the reason? Again, Reb Meir could argue on our Mishnah. So what's the reason that lechatchila could use it? Says the Gemara. No, excuse me, opposite. What's the problem of using a minol? So I spoke to that yesterday. If you're going to say what if there's a problem of pansa, pansa seems to be the upper part of the shoe, right? It has the part of the shoe, and it's on the Yavam's foot. For arkasa me'al the ma'al, and what happens is that you have the strap on top of the upper part of the shoe. So guys, you need to take me'al ragloi. So guys, here, view this as a foot, view this as the shoe, and view this as the straps. So the problem would be, it'll be me'al da'al. In other words, this pansa, if you're going to tell me, what's the problem of using this? What's the problem of using this? So if you're going to tell me that what, pansa me'al, you'll say that the pansa, the upper part of the minnow, is on the Rabbi's foot. And the strap that's on top of that is me'al da'al. Me'al ragloi, me'al, and not to be from top to remove. 101 says the Mari Hachi, I feel the evanamilo. So why was only asa lechatchila? Mashma feel b'diavad will be good. If it's me'al da'al, it shouldn't be good at all. Says the Mari, you're right. Here's the reason. We're worried about a minol that that you may come to use a torn minnow. So what happens is, guys, when a torn minnow becomes torn, it loses its shame minnow. But it can still be used. Since it's stuff, you can go ahead and fold it over. A sandal that is a hard leather, you're not worried because if it gets ruined, it's ruined. You can't fix it. A minnow, it doesn't, in other words, it's usable, but it doesn't have a shame minnow. And in order to be what chalitza, it has to have shame minnow. So goiza, the reason why b'di'evet, right? L'chatchila, you can't use it. You goiza shema, you may come to go ahead and do what? Do a minnow that is what is ripped. Inami, another possibility, mishum chatzi minal. The Mishnah said if it's too small, you have to go ahead and you need to cover roiv of the foot, the majority of the foot. We're worried over here by a minal, it may only cover half of the foot. Therefore, they did not let you lechatchila to go ahead and use the minal. Okay, we're going to get to the description of the chalitza shoe now. Ilav the chamise lechavivi, the chalitz besandal the isle shinsin. Rav called Rav Chia Chavivi. He was his uncle. So he said, if I did not see my uncle Rav Chia, that he did, that he had a chalitza with a sandal that had straps. Anola havi chalitzna el besandal tayara. I would have used an Arabian sandal, the mahadik tfei, which was, I guess, it seemed to be, on the foot stronger, right? It was on the foot, and I guess there's two types of shoes. There's one that I guess it's the same thing, guys, between a loafer and a and ties, right? A strapped shoe always ties better. A loafer is not as, but it seems over here the loafer would be snug. The straps over here would not be well. The straps over here would not be well. Okay, so now, just 1 second. Okay,
we up to Rabbi Stern. Rabbi Stern, where you up to? I'm sorry.
We're up to where we're up to. Kuf Beis Amid Aleph. Kuf Beis Amid Aleph, right? And you see the Tosfos Gezerah. Opposite of Tosfos is Gezerah. So one more time. So Amar Rav said Rav, Ilav the chamisi lechavivi the chalitz besandal lisle shinsin. If I didn't see my uncle Rab Chia go ahead and do chalitza using these straps, anola habe chalitza ele besandal tayah. I would have gone ahead and I would have used a Arab sandal, which is mahadik tfei. V'haidi done. What about ours? Afal gav the ispe chumrasa, even though they have a knot to stop it from falling. Katrina bein misna, we tied to that knot a strap. Kihechi that habi chalitza sama alisa. In order that it should be a good chalitza. Now you wouldn't believe this one paragraph over here describes the chalitza shoe. This chalitza shoe is so intricate, it's unbelievable. It's very, very intricate. So here's your chalitza shoe. I don't want this. I want this. So let's start at the top, over here. This is the chumrasa. It seems to be over here, there are knots, and the straps have to be tied to these knots. It says, Mara minal mitpanav. This is the front side of the minal. On one side, you have 3 ritzuis, and they're tied on this side over here. And at the end of each ritzua, there's a knot, a kesher. And on the other side, there's a loop. And those get tied over the knot. So this the source for this, guys, is what we just did. That Mishnah, that part of the Gemara, that chelek. And this is what it looks like below. It's sewn from the outside, and there's a sole to it. This is the back side. It needs an akev, right? It needs an akev, it needs a heel. And this is what it looks like. And notice, again, it traces yesterday, guys. It has to be tied below the knee, right? Below the knee, that area. Tied below the knee. And this is the back side. Okay. Aleph, let's get to the Aleph. Aleph says what? It has ritzuis. Let me make it a little smaller so I'll be able to do it all at once. There you go. Aleph, here's the Aleph. It has 2 ritzuis, right? White and black. One is on one side, one to the other side. The minig is to begin in the front and go around. It would count the first one. The first one goes inside the chritz that was on the other side of the other strap. Remember, there's 2 straps coming this way. You would go ahead and complete between the krisim that are lulois, between the in other words, this would be, after it gets through the hole, you would go ahead and keep it over here. And that's the idea of the shoe. Basically, again, this is a lot minhagim, but based upon this is Allah in Shulchan Aruch. I think it's kuf. It brought the halacha over here. It's Simin Shin Samet 169. Okay, so that's the chalitza shoe. It's very, they're not your classic shoe, and it's all based upon this little paragraph over here, and it gets minhagim. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, Simin Hatara Yevamot sandal. The way you get the way you get a Yevamot release is through a sandal. That we said yesterday, sandal l'chatchila is the best thing to use. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav Hatara Yevamot l'shuk b'shmita zoiva akev. At which point in time is it considered, guys, the chalitza is done when most of the heel was taken off? We saw the akev, that was the back part. So as soon as the foot comes out of there, that is considered chalitza. You don't need the whole shoe off. Meisive. Chutru ritzuas minol b'sandal. If the straps of the middle of the sandal became untied, or sheshamet roiv haregel, or most of the foot came out of the shoe, chalitza b'sula. Time with the shamit who. Now the reason it's puzzle is because he went ahead and he took it out. Hashamta he, if she would take it out, chalitza kashera, then it'll be kosher. In other words, we need her to take it off and not him. The reason why it's puzzle over here is because he took it off. If she had taken it off, then it would be kasha. Why? Because you need roiv, not the akev, kasha. You said just the akev. You see from here, roiv is out, and the reason why roiv is not good over here is because he did it. Had she done roiv, it would be good. Mashma, you need roiv and not the akev, not just the heel. You need roiv of the foot. Hashamti yichid shera. Roiv haregel in, when you have the majority of foot out of the shoe. Roiv akev lo, but not majority of the person's heel. That's not the right pshat. Hainu roiv haregel, hainu roiv akev. It means the same thing. In other words, roiv haregel does not mean the majority of your foot. It means the majority of your heel. But amai korele roiv haregel. Why is it called roiv haregel? The kula chayla the kara ale dechas, because the weight of a person is on your heel. In other words, it's considered your foot, because when you weigh yourself, most of the weight goes what? To your heel. Messiah Rav Yanai, this would be a raya to Rav Yanai, right? This would be a raya to Rav Yanai. That it's speaking, if you look at Rashi, Rashi tells us it's not speaking about the heel at all. That the ritzuas came untied. It's going on the ritzuas that came untied. Rav Yanai, bein shehitahu b'shamtahi, whether he untied it and she took his foot out, bein shetirihi b'shamtahu, whether she untied it and he took his foot out, chalitzasa psula at shetatahi v'tishmathi. So you see that the untying of the straps is an integral part of the chalitza, and she needs to do both. She has to go untie it, and she has to be shafnala, take it off. Taking off is only the heel, but the untying and the taking off has to be through her. That's Rabbi Yanai's thing. So boy, Rabbi Yanai. Now, so you said both, guys. So we're two halakim now. One, the untying, and two, the taking off. She has to do both. Says the Gemara, very lamda shashayla. Boy, Rabbi Yanai. Korasu mahu. What if the Yevamot, she ripped the shoe off, and saraftohu? Well, let's say she took a coal and burnt the shoe off. In other words, she removed the shoe, but in two different ways. Not in the normal way, she ripped it, or she burnt it off his foot. Is that considered a good chalitza? Galui kare be'inon. To be chalitza, you need his foot, that it should be what? Be able to be seen, be revealed. And you have the revealing of it, because she ripped it or burnt it. You need the fact that she removes the shoe. If she physically removes it, the leka, and you don't have it. The Gemara says, teku, that remains a shaila. It's very interesting. In other words, what's the hakpada? Is it din in the gavra or the chefza? Is it din in the shoe or is it din in the person? If it's din in the person, then it's no good. If it's din in the chefza, it is good. Okay. Boy, mine Reb Nechemi Rabba. Reb Nechemi asked the following shal from Rabba. Shnei minalim ze al gavzu. What you have two minalim, two shoes, one on top of the other. You have two shoes, one on top of the other. Hey, Chidami, what's the case? If you told me she took off the upper shoe and left the bottom shoe, as we said earlier, right? It has to be from on top of his foot. but you took off the shoe that was on the shoe. It wasn't top of the foot. So that can't be the case. It's like tzricha. What are you talking about? The karase le'eloi. You went ahead and you ripped the shoe that was what on top. Ushalafte letatoi, and you remove the bottom. The koiloi, and the foot remains inside. So you have a top and a bottom. You rip the top and you remove the bottom. So my chalitza bein, and you need room in the shoe. Ve'ika, she removed the shoe. Idilma galuya karinan, or you need the foot to be able to be seen. Veleka, guys, here's the case. You have a foot, a shoe, and a shoe. What did you do? You rip this and you remove this. So she did take it off. So therefore, it could be a chalitza. Or no, going back to original shaila, you need the foot to be revealed. Since there's an upper shoe over there, it's not revealed. So therefore, what's the din? Amid Beis. Fred Gemara umika ki gavna. Is it really normal? In other words, we're going to see Taisus in a second. Do you have such a case? So Pashut, guys, you're going to learn. It's so weird. How can you have such a case? So the Gemara says, in the Chazir Rabbanon Rabbi Yehuda the Nafik b'chamisha zuze or zuges. He went at 5 pairs muki of soft shoes, muki leshuka to the shuk. Okay, so guys, we've seen some really weird Gemaras in the past, right? Is this the weirdest Gemara that you ever saw? It's certainly not. So look at Taisus. Taisus Bavon's the kasha. V'hem taima. V'hem mikasha. Shoyal ashas. Now, there's a baby in the womb. Balasai chulda. A weasel goes ahead, swallows the baby, v'vasachas, then goes out and regurgitates it. And the Gemara there doesn't say Maika Amar. Now that's a lot. That's a lot more weirder than this case, right? Chulda sticking the hand in the womb, taking it out, and then regurgitating it. So it says the Gemara, and we don't ask me I comment. Of Emery, the Vadei Pshita le b'nei Adam linol boy. Vadei person can wear 2 pairs of shoes. Umishani the derech hu so me the dafka Pshita le sheyachal liyos. Of course, it's possible. El mi boy le umi have chalitza ki agavna. Is chalitza that way? Hello, ain't derech b'nei Adam linol boy. Here's the shaila, guys. When it said umiyaka ki agavna, we're not asking b'mitzias. Is that possible? Because we have much weirder cases that are mitzias not possible, and we don't ask the question. It's always a hypothetical. I'm glad Mandy's not here for this Gemara. So, however, what's the shaila? You want chalitza. Chalitza got to be shluf ishno. Like, is this normal that a person's situation would be like this? That would be called chalitza. And the answer is, since we find people wearing dual pairs of shoes, einachinami. So the kasha is not that it's possible mitzias, but is it normal enough to be called a chalitza? That's the way Taisus learns Pshat in the Gemara. Okay, that's the way Taisus learned Pshat in the Gemara. Okay, we can have a lot of psukim now. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav, Yevamot she'egdila beina achim, a Yevamot that she went ahead and she grew up among the brothers, right? She grew up among the brothers of her husband. They lived as a nuclear family. They lived together. So she was very bakant. She was very accustomed to being with her brother-in-laws. Muterisly nasei lechem and achim, right? What are we worried about? Maybe at one point in time she took off the guy's shoe, and then that would be chalitza. So therefore, she's permitted. We're not worried that maybe why this called sandal. The reason why we're not chayish is because we never saw mashma chazinon. If we saw her take off her brother-in-law's shoe, chashinon, we're going to be chayish for what? For a chalitza? Tanya, ben shin iskaven hu v'lein iskaven he, ben shin iskaven he v'lein iskaven hu, chalitzasa psula. So even if she took it off, she wasn't mechavin, and even if she was mechavin, he wasn't. It's very interesting. You see that this whole chalitza shoe is like all built up minhagim, because pashit, a guy is not walking around in a chalitza shoe, right? He's walking around in a normal pair of shoes. So I guess the normal sandal had some of the criteria of the chalitza shoe, right?
Don't you need Adam? I mean, don't you need Adam? I mean, to validate that it was a chalitza.
Why?
I thought you have to have 2 Adam or
you have to publicize it. You have to publicize.
Right. So this is not publicized.
The question is, no, it doesn't make it a chalitza. The chalitza is chalitza, whether people know about it or not. But it doesn't. You don't need the Aiden to create the chalitza. It's not like a kedushin. If there's no Aiden, it's no kedushin. It's a chalitza. It doesn't say anywhere. It says you need 3 dayanim, not dayanim. So you're asking what? Don't you need hedjaitis over here?
Right.
That's what you're asking. I don't know. Says Gemara, what's pshat over here? Even though we do see that she took off the shoe, so I guess you have people seeing hesh. You have to say that people more than could be speaking when more than one person saw. And since you don't need you don't need a real bezdin, you don't need hedjaitis, maybe it'll be okay. Even though we do see it, we're not chayish, maybe mechaven. The reason is that we didn't see. The katana boy kavana. Why would be chayish? You need kavana. It says hanimili lishtarui la'alma. When to go ahead and mataha to other people. Okay, this would answer Heshi's question also. In other words, we can go ahead. We know, fellas, that if let's say we've gone through Masechta Yevamot. Let's say one of the brothers gives a get. What's the halacha? Finito, right? Yeah, guys, we saw that. Once the one brother gives, that's it. One brother does maima, okay. But bottom line is that once something's done to this woman, that's it. So it could be over here, einachinami, tomataha to the street, it's not a good chalitza. You don't know the kavana. In fact, what you don't have edim like Heshi, you don't have bezdin. But in order to passel to the brothers, einachinami would passel to the brothers, similar to a get. We'd be that the chalitza was done for chalitza to passel to the brothers. That would be a good shot. I'm going to review them around. Sandal hatofer, a sandal bipishtin, a sandal that is sewn with flax. It's sewn with flax, says Rashi. Shetofa besoichei beged pishtan. You made an inner shoe. Inside the shoe, you put an inner sole made of pishtan, of flax. Ke'ein shetoifim besoichei leveidin. Like we put felt. They put felt in their shoes. Lishnachrina. Hatofa bepishtin shetofa b'mishicha kein shalonu. They use threads of flax. So it's either an inner shoe, like some type of sole that's sewn inside of flax, or it's sewn outside of flax. What's the din? Ein cholzim bo. You shouldn't do chalitza. Shenemar, because the pasuk says, let me get the pasuk. Ve'en alech tochash. The pasuk says, now tochash is an animal. So I would say that since it's an animal, it can't use pishtan. Ve'nalech tochash. I went ahead and I put a shoe on you of tochash. So it has to be a tachash. Now, it's mashma the tachash was in the midbar. We said that there's an opinion it only came once in a lifetime. We saw an opinion, a real wild opinion, Masechta Chulin, maybe it's a giraffe that only appeared in that part of it, in the midbar at that time. And I thought always that it wasn't a kosher animal. I thought saskavna wasn't a kosher animal. If you look at Tosfos, Mikan Omer Benu Tam, Shetzarach Shehi Minol Ma'or Behemet Tahira. The minol has to be made out from a kosher animal. The tachash kasiv, the mashma of tachash is a kosher animal. Very near ki ein lahakbid im chaletz b'minol behemet meya, but there's no hakpada. But again, according to this, it's a behema. In other words, you could use a shoe made of pigskin, according to Taisus. You could use a shoe made of pigskin. But again, so that pasuk says. Now, says the Gemara, the ema. Okay, you're telling me so you can't use. You're telling me you cannot use thread because it says va'nalech tachash. So if that's the case, and we're so makbid on the pasuk, the ema tachash in midiachrina lo. Let's say dafka that animal, that particular animal, and not any other animal. And for the Gemara, nal riba. It says nal twice. It says nal twice in the parsha. Since it says nal twice in the parsha, therefore it includes other animals. Fred Gemara, inal nal riba. I feel kol milinami. Let's include even pishton. And Cain, tachash mayahanile. Then what does the meat of tachash help? So I have now to include everything, and I have tachash to say not pishtan, but an animal. Boy mine Rebbeloza meirav. Who shall are? The shoe is made of skin. V'tarsisav shall sayer, but the straps are made of hair. What? You can't use that for chalitza. Amalei miloi karina be v'nalich tachash. You know that I put a shoe of tachash on you, so of course you could. So therefore, even though the straps are made from hair, it should be okay. Usually, hair means goat's hair. Yehachi kulas nami. Let's see the whole shoe be made of goat's hair. Says, well, who karka mikri? That's not called a now. It's called a karka. The kind of shoe that is made from goat skin. Amli Kana Lishmuel. Now, the chalitza. The shaila is like this. We assume chalitza is an interesting word. We teach it for chalitz ishnal. What she takes it off. We're going to show that chalitza can mean something else. So how do you know chalitza means to remove the shoe? Maybe it has another meaning. Amalei of Kana Lishmuel. Memai dahai v'choltza nalo me'aragla. She takes the shoe off his foot. Mishlafu means to remove the shoe. How do you know that? Because it says the chiltzu es avonam hasheba and a nega. But speaking about a house that has a tzaras in it. So what does it say? Lashon of chalitza. The chiltzu es avonam hasheba. You go ahead and remove it. So we see that the lashon of cholatz means to remove. So just like by the house of avonam, by the zora, of tzaras, it means to remove. So too by chalitza of a shoe, it means to remove. The ema zeruzehu. I'll show you another context of chalitza. Zeruze means to be mizaris. Go ahead and get these guys ready for war. Mashma, you put on their armor. So maybe chalitza means to put on the shoe. Says no, there it means that what? They leave the house to get ready for war. So there also means to remove. Remove you from the house, remove the stone, remove the shoe. Fred Gemara Vaksiv, Yechalitz Oni Be'onyoi, where he'll go support the Oni in his poverty. It's mashma that you're putting it on. Yachlitz Oni, it's mashma, we're going to give the Oni something. So mashma, you're putting the shoe on. Says Gemara, B'schar on, Pshat in the pasuk is B'schar Onyoi, right? Yechaltz Medina Shel Gehenim. No, it means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to take you off. In the schar that you go ahead and you went ahead and you removed his poverty. It's speaking about a Kadosh Baruch Hu, so you removed that. A Kadosh Baruch Hu will remove you from Gehenna. So even there, it doesn't mean to put; it means to go ahead and take off. Says Gemara, Ela hadich siv choyne malach Hashem soviv l'reyov v'yichaltzeim. The malach of Hashem, he's in camp. People who go ahead and fear him, he supports them. That mashma chalitza means to support, to put on. Says Gemara, b'schar no, it means b'schar yireyov. In the schar of those people who fear Hashem, again, the same way they'll be removed from the din of Gehenna. That it says, your bones will strengthen them. It's the best of the brachas that your bones will be strengthened. It doesn't mean to remove your bone. Means you strengthen the bones. So mashma, what you would not remove but put on the shoe, same kasha. So the Gemara says, yeah, the Gemara concludes, yes, you're right. Mashmachi. The context of the shoyrish of ches lamid tzaddik has both connotations. It could be what, it could be taking off, it could be putting on. But you guess you have to look at the context. The hacha yisalke daitok sevuzahu. If you can tell me over here, it means that putting on the shoe. It should say that she goes ahead and puts chalitza on his foot, right? Mashma that she's putting the shoe on his foot. But not v'cholza ish minoloi from his foot. Because rachmana beragloi, have amina beragloi in b'shoikaloi. No, you couldn't write beragloi because why? Because then mashma, if a person doesn't have a foot, you can't do chalitza, and he only has a shoik. He only has what is a leg. Because rachmana me al ragloi. Therefore, it said from on his foot. Afilu shoikoi. Even if she puts the shoe on his leg, it will be good chalitza. So therefore, you have no raya that it doesn't mean to put on. Says we're in Cain. If it means that putting on the shoe, it should say b'me'al ragloi, that the question says on that which is on his foot. On that which is on his foot. My me'al ragloi, from on his foot. Shmamina nishlafu, it means to go ahead and remove it. There was a man who said to Gamliel, Amma decholitz le mari minei, an Amma, a nation whose master goes ahead and does chalitza, mashma, he ends his relationship with them. It's amazing how the minim in those days also attacked Navi. The Maskilim also attacked Navi. You see the same thing over here. They took Navi and fooled around with it. So what does it say? that their sheep and their baka, they'll go to look for Hashem. They won't find him. You know why? Because Hashem has left them. Some little said to him, Shaita, you Shaita. He goes, what do you say to him? Mi kasiv choletz mehem. Does it say HaKadosh Baruch Hu removed himself from them? Choletz mehem is right. He received chalitz from them. In other words, now in the relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is the male and we're the female. So this would be equivalent to that the brothers do chalitza to the woman. Says the Gemara, choletz mehem kasiv. V'ilu Yevamot the cholzu minei achin. If there's a Yevamot whose brothers receive chalitza, in other words, they wanted to take off her shoe, guys. They want to take off her shoe, right? Midi mishashis bei. Would there be any mashas to take off her shoe? So too over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ban with Kal Yisrael remains strong. It says ban pilya chalitzasa psula. That means chalitza with a sack is puzzle. It's not good. The member you want to say, you know what? I'm gonna stop over here because I didn't get a chance to look at this, and I'm not gonna rush it. Okay, again.